loss of life is a measure of an emergency, this is by far the worst emergency Spokane has ever faced.
Local leaders heard from a former Boise mayor on how Spokane can tackle homelessness and drug use.
We're under a KREM 2 weather impact alert as summer continues. Hot, dry, windy conditions tomorrow mean critical fire danger.
Ferris High School dedicates its track and field facility to a legendary coach who spent decades leaving a lasting impact on Spokane athletes. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Just into our newsroom this afternoon, the Washington Attorney General filed a motion this week that would release the Spokane South Hill rapist. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley joining us live tonight with the very latest. Amanda?
Well, right now, a Spokane County judge is reviewing the Attorney General's motion to release Kevin Coe. It's a motion to dismiss. Now, by law, the state must evaluate Coe every year and prove he's mentally ill and dangerous to keep him confined. In the motion to dismiss, the AG's office says there is not enough evidence to confine Coe. They cite a 2024 psychology report that says he no longer meets the criteria for a sexually violent predator. A few months ago, Coe's attorney asked for an end to his civil commitment. He's been involuntarily confined to McNeil Island since 2008. Now, the AG's office says Coe would still be required to register as a sex offender for the remainder of his life. Right now, the next scheduled hearing for this case is next Thursday, and that's the earliest we could expect a ruling on the motion to release him. In the newsroom, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda, thank you very much. Spokane city leaders say they are constantly tweaking their homelessness plan. In fact, they told our Shannon Mowdy today that they'll be announcing some new additions as soon as next week. Shannon joining us now from downtown Spokane after speaking with a former Boise official who is offering his own advice. Shannon?
Former Boise Mayor Dave Beater is on his way back to the Treasure Valley tonight, but not before he made a stop to speak with Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown to offer some advice. He thinks the city is missing a critical piece of its homeless plan. Spokane's comprehensive plan to address homelessness is ever evolving, borrowing ideas from major cities like Denver and Houston. But one former official from closer to home,
you have a city with great bones,
thinks the city should borrow from his playbook.
At the same time, I was a little taken aback by the street level camping and open drug use.
Dave Beater served 16 years as Boise's mayor. This week he visited the Lilac City to speak at the Spokane Business Association dinner about his homelessness strategy. Gavin Cooley with SBA says he hopes Beater's message brings a greater sense of urgency.
I mean, if loss of life is a measure of an emergency or potential loss of life, this is by far the worst emergency Spokane has ever faced, by multiples.
While Beater's administration helped open treatment centers and even a 40-unit housing complex for the chronically homeless, he says one element that worked was citing street campers.
I think what's missing again is you just have to have this push, off the street. And 2 services.
Beater points to an encampment that sprang up near downtown Boise in 2015 during the Martin v. Boise lawsuit. That landmark case challenged anti-camping ordinances against the unhoused. He says police mistakenly thought they couldn't issue citations during the litigation.
But we learned if we had doubt, nothing else changed in the city except the failure to issue citations. So we know cause and effect. We had about 400 citations in the year after the camp. 2018, we had 6 total citations.
Spokane reinstated an updated camping ban in July, but many argue it's not strict enough.
I think a lot of folks think that we aren't responding to complaints of camping. I looked at the map yesterday. We have 208 active camping complaints that we are responding to. And that's all across the city.
Beater emphasizes it's not one method that works, and no single entity will succeed alone. Now, Erin Hutt with the city says Mayor Brown and Beater did have a productive conversation, and she says the main takeaway from that conversation was the importance of outreach and the support of the private sector. She says that's something that the city is going to keep pushing for in its own homelessness plan. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
All right, Shannon, thank you very much. In other news this evening, the U.S. Marshal Service says the father accused of killing his 3 young daughters is dead. The declaration came as part of a court filing today to dismiss Travis Decker's criminal charges in the case. Investigators had been searching for Decker since the end of May. Remains believed to be his were found near Leavenworth last week, less than a mile from where his 3 daughters were found dead. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office says it is still waiting on DNA confirmation from the state crime lab before closing the case. Spokane Valley deputies arrested a man armed with a large knife smashing windows. After being released from jail, deputies rearrested him 4 hours later. On September 22nd, Spokane Valley deputies responded to a call from an employee inside the business where the suspect, Tony Gust, shattered a window. Deputies took him to the Spokane County Jail on a misdemeanor charge, but due to overcrowding, he was released. However, they rearrested Gust for his 9th arrest this year after catching him trying to break windows at a separate business, this time with a mop handle. Right now, Gust remains in the Spokane County Jail. The WSP trooper who prosecutors say hit and killed a person while driving drunk pleaded not guilty today. Sarah Clausen faces vehicular homicide charges related to that crash near Richland back in March. The crash happened while Clausen was off duty. It killed 20-year-old Jose Sanchez. Investigators say Clausen spent hours at a local bar before the crash, and a blood alcohol test revealed the alcohol in her blood measured more than twice the legal limit. She will be back in court in late October. The other big story we are tracking tonight is the weather. Want to get right outside to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy the Goo, because Jeremy, you are issuing a KREM 2 weather impact alert day for tomorrow.
You got that right, Mark, and it all hinges upon what we see in the next 24 hours. Right now, we're in the 80s. It is hot out here on the back patio, and we're dry. Relative humidity down at 16% plays a big role in that red flag warning or critical fire danger tomorrow. It's not just here in Spokane. It's a similar story across the entire inland Northwest. Temperatures near 80 degrees and low relative humidities. That, combined with wind tomorrow, is going to create that critical fire danger. For that reason, we have red flag warnings from the Cascades all the way through eastern Washington and even down into Oregon. Hot, dry, windy. We know that's not a good combination. But what winds up happening is this time of year, everything has dried out. So as our frontal boundary moves in late tomorrow, it is going to be a worst case scenario for that dry vegetation. 82 tomorrow. Eventually, though, 70 and sun on Friday.
Good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Today, we are tracking a developing story after an alleged boating accident on Lake Pend Oreille last Saturday left 1 man dead. Regan Gallo went to Lake Pend Oreille and brings us an exclusive interview talking with the wife who wants to honor her husband's life.
We are still waiting on confirming details from the Bonner County Sheriff's Office about this alleged boat crash, but the family reached out and told us that the man who reportedly died from the crash was Jose Gomez. Gomez's family added that the crash happened on Cottage Island, just off of the shores of the town Hope. He was not the driver, but a passenger in the vessel. Our news partners with the Bonner County Daily Bee report the boat crashed and went 50 feet onto shore. I am told by Gomez's wife, Sandra Gomez, that her husband owned both Gription Tire Pros and North Idaho Towing. Now she says she is manning those businesses herself. I talked to Gomez's wife, who wants to honor her husband's legacy. That is all coming up in our 6 p.m. newscast. I'm reporting in Hope, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Coming up on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight, a local high school dedicates a facility to one of its legendary coaches. And a local fish species in danger. A push to save them hits a roadblock. We look at why Idaho Fish and Game is asking for your help.